Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Emeka Ubunye trying to bring us up to date on a number of legal developments in Nigeria in the past day. Number one, last night it was reported that last night around 9:30 p.m. Several unknown gunmen described as bandits invaded the Kuje medium correctional center, that is Kuje prison, by 9:30 p.m. Yesterday. They overpowered the soldiers that normally guard the prison and other security apparatuses involved in guarding the prison, which will include some representatives of the civil defense and also the armed squad, which is the armed part of prison services. They invaded, that is the bandits. That is the way Nigerians describe a bunch of groups, armed groups that operate in the northern part of Nigeria. You can call some of these people Boko Haram members, you can call them the IS of West Africa members, and now you have the generic group called bandits. It's reported that sometime last night, 9:30 p.m., this group invaded the prison, attacked those on guard, dispersed them, breached the prison wall from several parts, and actually took over the prison premises. They then proceeded from custody to custody and broke into each custody, each cell, using their gunshots to break the locks, and they assembled all the inmates. In other words, they were able to open all cells, and all inmates had the opportunity to leave or to escape from the prison. And it's being reported that they operated from 9:30 p.m. to around 3:30 a.m. this morning. And within that period, it's estimated that about 1,200 inmates escaped. As of the close of yesterday, the inmate population on record was estimated to be 1,350 inmates. But after the attack on the prison and the breach of the prison and the escape, only about 150 inmates remained in the prison this morning. So we are assuming that about 1,200 inmates escaped the prison. It is a catastrophe of the biggest proportion imaginable. Kuje prison is a very important prison in Nigeria because that is the main prison in the capital city of Nigeria, and several important political, top public figures in the prisons are detained in it. For ex-governors are in it, top police officers that are undergoing trial are in it. Former member of the House of Representatives, the chairman of one of the committees of the House of Representatives is there. So, such a high-profile prison would be assumed to have been fully and properly guarded, especially when we have had history of so many attacks on prisons and breakdown of prisons. We would expect that Nigerian government must have put in their best by way of guarding a prison in Kuje when this incident occurred. So the bandits, or whoever they were, because nobody really knows for sure yet, were able to enter into the prison and free inmates. These inmates disappeared, ran away. We are trying to ascertain if there had been casualty figures, how many people were killed. It is very unlikely that this sort of operation could have occurred without some casualties. Or it's difficult, really, to explain what happened. So we are asking questions, we are trying to ascertain who's killed, and we are trying to know what the government is doing. But in this sort of operation, the government will want to be secretive in its attempt to recapture these prisoners and bring them back, or in its attempt to find out what is going on. Normally, all over the world, you will expect the government to be discreet and not say much, but at the same time, the government has questions to answer. How would we explain that this sort of incident occurred, despite the state of readiness we would have expected the Nigerian government to have as in Kuje prison as of yesterday? So, in the effort to keep discreet their reaction, the government will also use the opportunity to cover and fail to answer legitimate questions about why there should be a lapse of security or what truly happened that made this sort of incident possible. And for these attackers to be in the prison from estimated 9 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., that's essentially more than 6 hours, during which there was no attempt of stopping them, of countering them, of regaining control of the prison. So it is an extreme event. We don't yet know who is out and who is not out, and whether any of the high-profile prisoners were able to escape, and if so, whether any of them had been recaptured. We have our ears out, and anybody that has information should contact the authorities immediately and, help in any way possible. So that is a major event that occurred yesterday, and we are going to be monitoring it, and we will continue to inform people, inform our members, but there is one question that had been asked repeatedly, whether Abba Kyari escaped. Abba Kyari, the Deputy Police Commissioner, Abba Kyari, who has been in Kuje prison, remanded, awaiting trial and awaiting extradition. We have been having questions. We don't know for sure. We don't know whether he escaped. The information is sketchy because the people in the prison are not talking, and they wouldn't talk. And also, those who are not on the ground would not know what happened. So questions are being asked. And I would believe that the prison, as of this moment, must be facing the most intense security control. I wouldn't expect any visitors to be allowed in the prison today. I wouldn't expect any honest truth to come from the prison. So what we are going to do is to listen to what the government says, and then we're going to use our common sense to understand that government has a motive to lie, to cover up their own lapses, and to exaggerate their own responses. So you were going to treat information from the government with a reasonable degree of scrutiny and suspicion. But as it is, we can say definitively now that yesterday night, the Kuje prison was breached. It was breached by a group described as bandits, and many inmates escaped. And the police and the security forces were not able to prevent the bandits from penetrating the prison or prevent them from freeing inmates. That we can know, we can say for sure. But I will suggest that we keep our eyes open, listening to every news, every story, every rumor, which we will then scrutinize and assess what is reasonable and what is not reasonable. And we'll come back here and report such incident to you. Thank you very much for listening. This is coming from Eculo News. We are going to stay on top of this development, and we will monitor the situation and update you from time to time. Thank you very much for listening.